I used to work in a marketing agency as a project manager, so I was involved in every step, writing briefs, reviewing designs, presenting results, and fixing campaigns when they weren't performing. And it was a lot, but it was also really good. Great people, real friendships, stressful weeks for sure, but also genuinely great memories that I still think about. And then I left. Not because something went wrong. I just wanting something that was mine. And instead of that whole team, I use AI tools to do everything they used to do. Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, all of it, every week by myself. And most of the time, it works really well. But sometimes, late in the day when I am on my fifth task alone and there's nobody to ask, does this feel right? I do miss them. So this video is the honest version of that story. What I replaced, what tools I actually use and how, and what AI generally couldn't replace. So let's get into it. So quick context because I think it matters for everything else. Being a project manager at an agency means you are not just managing people. You are in the work too. When the brief gets written, that's you. When the campaign launches and isn't performing, you are the one figuring out why. When you walk into the client's meeting, you are the one explaining all of it and then responsible for making it better. And I knew every role because I'd done every role at some point. And the stress that comes with that is very, very real. You're carrying the whole thing. But I want to be clear. I left because I wanted more, not because I hated it or it was too hard for me. The people were great. The work was interesting. I made real friends there. I just reached a point where I wanted to build something that was entirely mine. So I did. And that's why I want to talk about the tool stack, what replaced what. So let me walk you through my actual setup, what each person on my all team used to do and what I use now instead. So first one is writing and strategy. So my all strategist and copywriter together were probably the most valuable people on the team. Now I use 3 AI tools for this and I actually use all 3 intentionally, not just one. So Claude is my main thinking partner. It's where I write scripts, build briefs, and work throughout ideas. What I love about Claude specifically is that it's good at nuances. If I give it context about my audience or my tone, it holds onto that and the output actually reflects it. I start almost every piece of work here, but I don't just accept the first answer. I'll take the same brief or script draft and run it throughout ChatGPT to see if the approach is different. Sometimes ChatGPT is sharper on structure. Sometimes Claude is better on voice. Comparing both give me a much stronger result than picking one and staying there. And then Gemini. I use this mostly for research. If I need current information, recent stats, what's happening in the industry right now, Gemini is faster and more up to date than the others for that kind of a thing. So my workflow is usually research with Gemini, draft and shape with Claude, and check and pressure test with ChatGPT. Then we have visuals and thumbnails. So the designer role was the one I was most nervous about taking on by myself. I'm not a professional designer, but I have always felt that I have a good eye for visuals. That's why I spent so many hours learning Photoshop myself and studying as much as I could about compositions, colors, and design principles. But Photoshop AI tool have made the whole process so much easier for me. Generative fill is the tool I use the most. For example, if I have a photo of myself for a thumbnail but the background doesn't work, I can simply select it, describe what I want, and Photoshop generates it in seconds. Something that once would have required a designer and a full photo shoot, I can now do by myself in 15 minutes. I also use it to remove distracting elements, extend images when the composition feels off, and adjust the lighting. It's not perfect every time. Sometimes I have to generate a few different variations, but the difference between what I can create now and what I could create without it is huge. Then we have video editing. So editing my own videos was one of the first things I had to accept when I started working solo. In the beginning, it took forever because I had to learn how to edit from scratch and choose the platform I wanted to use. At the time, I chose Premiere Pro and I still use it till today. And also the tools inside Premiere Pro have also made my life way easier. The one I use in every single edit is auto transcription. It generates a text transcript of my footage, and then I can edit the video by editing the text. What used to take me around an hour to rough cut now takes maybe 15 minutes. There's also tools like noise reduction, auto color matching between clips, and most recently Remix, which can extend and shorten a music track to fit the exact length of your video without making it sound cut off. It might seem a small thing, but it saves a surprising amount of time. Then we have keywords and research. This replaced what used to be a whole separate person in the agency, someone just focused on data and performance. VidIQ is built into my YouTube workflow. Before I commit to any video idea, I check the keyword volume, the competition score, and what actually performing in my niche right now. It takes maybe 20 minutes, and it means I'm not guessing. And lastly, project management and scheduling. I use Notion, Buffer, and YouTube Studio. I know this is less exciting, but they work. The whole operation runs on one laptop, one person, me, and one focused morning per week. So that's my current tool stack. Of course, these tools don't magically do everything for me. I still have to make the decision, choose the direction, check the quality, and bring my own taste into the final result. But the big difference is that tasks that used to require several people can now be handled by me from one laptop with the right AI tools around me. And it genuinely works. But, and this is the part I think actually more useful to talk about, what AI couldn't replace. There's something that happens in a good team that I don't have a tool for. It's that momentum. Usually late in long session when someone says something that half wrong, but it opens a door and someone else catches it and takes it somewhere and you end up with an idea none of you would have found alone. I miss that. I genuinely do. Claude is a great thinking partner, but it doesn't remember what it felt like to last pitch together. It doesn't have a history with you. Shared experiences, shared context that matter more than I expected when I was gone. There's also the accountability. When you're alone and you're having an off day, there's nobody to carry you. No one who notices and quietly covers. You carry yourself every day, and some days that is hard. And one more honest thing, AI is very confident, sometimes too confident. A great colleague will tell you when your idea is bad. Claude will write you a very polished version of your bad idea. So your judgment has to be sharper when you are solo because nothing else catches your mistakes. So why it's still worth it? Working in an agency, especially in management, means your time is never really yours. There's always someone else's deadline that becomes your problem, someone else's stress that lands on you. I was good under pressure. I had to be, but it was constant, and it was always someone else's version of urgent. Now the pressure is mine, the decisions are mine, so are the wins, and so is the rest. I set my own hours, I take a walk when I need to think. Everything I produce, I'm responsible from start to finish. The agency gave me some of the best professional years of my life, real friendships, real skills, memories I'll always have. Going solo didn't erase any of that. It built on it. Everything I know about how marketing actually works, I learned there. AI just lets me use it alone. These tools didn't replace my team. They made it possible for me to be on my own team, and that's a completely different thing. If any of this felt familiar, where you're thinking about going solo or already doing it, or just curious what this actually looks from the inside, drop something in the comments. I read them, and they generally help me figure out what to make next. Next week, I'm going to get very specific. I will show you the exact workflow I use to write every script on this channel, the real prompts, how I use Claude versus ChatGPT for different parts, and how I stopped it from sounding like a robot. Very practical, very hands-on. Subscribe if you want to catch that one, and thanks for watching guys till the end, and I'll see you in the next video.